Yo, what is going on is another edition of the Bush League Mud Show, episode 27. Slade
PJ
coming at you a little late than our usual recordings on a Friday. We had to set the recording back, and we were going to talk to yous about some stuff going on in the pro wrestling world, and we're going to talk to you about that as we record this tonight. A couple of days behind. We're not behind on the news. We've been already chatting about this behind the scenes, but I figure we might as well just talk about it, us two on the microphone, and it is, they just couldn't help it before the new year. More releases in WWE. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about some reactions to some of those releases. We're going to talk about who ran Monday Night Raw. It wasn't the Pal Man, the big Pal Man, the big muscle man. Vince, he was not there at Raw, which makes me even wonder, like, if this guy who puts the show together, if he can't stand to be there to work it, then why should we be able to stand to watch it? Mm-hmm. We're also going to talk a little bit about, this is pretty much going to be stripped down to the WWE releases, but we'll also give you a few news and tidbits. We're just going to be more of a stripped down show because we really want to focus on these releases. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Also, social media. Follow us. Promise we'll follow back at Bush League MS Pod. All right. So, where do we begin? Oh, yeah, the releases in WWE. This has now been a number. If we're keeping track, if we're keeping tallies, we're up to over 70 now.
Yes.
This year.
Last year, yep.
In the last year, so a drastically different looking WWE roster compared to last year in 2020. And this is a company who has basically, the last couple of years, they glowed on these earnings call, which was when these releases were just announced after following WWE's latest earnings call this past week, in which, profits, it stayed stagnant, but they're still making money hand over fist, and they're trimming fat financially from the talent roster, which is going to result in more profits and 18 more that you can add to that list. Now, we're not going to break down every single one of these talent for talent, but we'll give you the noticeable ones. We're still going to run down the full list. Jessica Mia was one of them. Lince Dorado, another. Here's a name that you probably will know just because it was an awful fucking name. Oni Lorcan, that we had not seen on television in quite a while. Jeet Rama, Zeta Raymir, Grand Metalik. So this was a blessing for him because he had actually been trying to get his release for a while.
No more Lucha House Party.
No more of that. It's absolutely dissolved 100%. So Grand Metalik. Trey Baxter on that list. Katrina Cortez. Now we get to the notable names, and we're going to do a pecking order that's going to build here. So we'll start off with Frankie Monet, who I thought at some point, if you were not going to bring her to the main roster, that she was going to be the NXT champ at one point, and why she was not on the main roster absolutely fathoms me, dude.
Yeah, I thought after she lost that match to Gonzalez for the championship that she was going to get called up because the draft was coming up right around the corner. Husband John Morrison up there. They seem to like to have couples together. They had Rollins and Lynch go to the show. Bianca Belair and also,
Montez Ford.
They've got them together too. So I thought, okay, they're going to call Frankie Monet up to the main roster. They need.
And you were done with the whole Morrison Miz thing. You're pretty much done with that. It had ran its course. It got a little too silly, too goofy.
Yep.
One of them were eventually going to have to turn. Miz is gone. He's doing Dance with the Stars, and we've got Morrison in the back doing fucking yoga segments on Raw.
And hell, that could have been a good program with the husband. Get the wives involved too. That could have been a pretty good and entertaining thing. But now, never mind. I'm getting too creative here, and I didn't understand why they get Frankie Monet, who was probably one of their best, veteran leaders they had at NXT. Obviously, they don't want any of those anymore. But I don't know why they couldn't bring her up to the main roster. That one is puzzling to me.
Yeah, this was, they brought her in, and we went through the name change even. We repackaged her. Looks great, presented very well, and just a shame there. B-Fab, Hit Row. That was one of the more surprising ones, being that you had just called the group up from NXT several weeks ago. And usually, we talked about this, usually when they bring a faction up, it's usually the gal that outlasts all the guys in the group. B-Fab, I thought she was perfect for being with this group. She was a big part of the presentation with the talent. And now, not a great ring worker. No one will gloat about that, but she was still learning. She, not, as far as I know, didn't work a long time on the indies or anything like that. So this was a training in progress, and she was a part of Hit Row. But we had mentioned on episode 26 that there were they had an ideal of making one person a single star out of this and maybe two more being the tag team.
Yep.
Right. And so that kind of, we didn't really hear much about what her role was going to be. We just assumed she was going to be there to be a mouthpiece and be occasional distraction on the outside. For whatever reason, she was on this list. And we talked about it yesterday. I loved her attitude. I said on Twitter, this is one way to handle it. Most people might get on a podcast, shit on the company, or say this or say that, make their own little personal PR release statements on their Twitter accounts. Not B-Fab. B-Fab, she, even though she's no longer with Hit Row, she's still making hits. She decided to make a song following her release with the company about her
gimmick.
Future endeavors. So good for B-Fab.
Yeah, that one made no sense to me. I mean, you just featured them in the SmackDown draft. I thought she was like one of the centerpieces of the faction. When they came out here this past Friday night, they just looked damn goofy without it. I mean, it just didn't feel the same.
And it seemed like they tried to make up for it by giving them
with the Zayn
extra long segment with Sami Zayn and trying to kind of feature. Yeah, but it was to me, it was like the longer you kept them out there, the more that it reminded people that she had been released.
Anymore.
Right,
Yep.
Harry Smith. The son of the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, was amongst those cuts. He had just gotten signed.
Yeah.
Back in the spring, there were talks that this was a special signing, I guess, that John Laurinaitis had pushed for. He wanted to bring him in, bring him back into the company. And the idea at that time was that they had plans to maybe give him a big run to go at Walter for the NXT UK title based on his genetics, DNA of who his father is. Great storyline that would automatically put him in the role of the babyface, being that his father was very beloved and one of the biggest baby faces of his time for Vince. But he worked one dark match.
I was going to say, he didn't even make SmackDown.
No.
I know the dark match was at SmackDown, but he didn't make any TV. I'm like, I was waiting to see, okay, they signed Harry Smith Jr. I'm waiting to see his debut. And, with the Laurinaitis thing, I thought for sure, okay, they like the kid. Something's going to happen here. Nothing. I don't get it.
He worked the dark match at SmackDown, cut a promo that they showed on WWE TV and their YouTube social media accounts that night.
Okay.
Pretty convincing promo. Looked good. I mean, hadn't been there for about 10 years since he was last teaming with Tyson Kidd, and they had reformed that whole Hart Foundation, the new generation version, all that. They were tag champs at one point. He went away, worked around the world, did some things in Japan, did some things here in the States around the Indies, worked some stuff around Canada. They bring him back, and there you go. 6 months later, he's out of a job with the company. So there you go.
Did they just do that for PR because Davey Boy just recently went in the Hall of Fame? Is that basically what it was?
You would hope not. Again, the story was that John Laurinaitis had this idea that maybe they could really use him for the NXT UK brand, and it seemed like he was on board for it. It just never came to fruition. Yeah. But I think what was a detriment, not in his favor, and what worked against him is that probably by the time those plans would have kicked off, Vince and the brass, brains of the operation probably had already made the decision about what they wanted to do with NXT just in general. Yeah. I think that might have worked against Harry Smith. Mia Yim, who is the current fiance of another person who got their release late last week, she got her release. And Mia Yim, we hadn't seen her at all in 2021.
No. Unfortunately,
she had taken some time off to tend to her fiance that also was recently a part of these releases.
And trying to get the stink off of her from the worst damn faction they've put together in probably 15 years.
Part of Retribution, and we had her, Mercedes Martinez, kind of tell her, or pretty much tell her account of this whole thing just being thrown together. Mia Yim was a part of that as well with Retribution.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping at some point that we can just get T-Bar to
Dominic Dijakovic. Can we get
just
him
completely
back
just bury this gimmick once and for all? I at least like the name Mace. It's the T-Bar thing that these names. This was just horrible from the get-go. But Mia Yim, probably a blessing for her.
Yeah.
Ember Moon. And I will say, I don't ever wish anything upon any of these talents. I think it sucks when anyone loses their job for whatever reason, no matter what it is they work. But Ember Moon, you kind of seen this on the wall when, number one, she injured her Achilles, which we must remind you that it was during a fucking 24/7 skit where they had her as one of the 24/7 skit goons going after the title. She's running around the arena. She gets the back towards Gorilla. There's someone standing behind the curtain. She didn't want to run into him. She hit a hard break, and she ended up snapping her Achilles that put her out of action for a while. She came back, appeared back for the NXT brand, so she wasn't on the main roster. And then we get this drastic change with NXT 2.0, and the way that they were wording it, they really wanted to phase out anything that had to do with the original NXT.
Yes.
And I felt that her days were numbered. And, they put her in a makeshift tag team with Shotzi Blackheart. They had a good run. And then Shotzi gets drafted to the main roster. Ember stays. And I'm like, this really ain't good for her.
Yep.
And then you're seeing the direction of where they were going with the NXT 2.0. I want to say maybe she had one or two matches during this time. And I believe she lost one, if not both of them. Ember Moon was one especially. And when they brought her up, you thought, okay, she was different. She brought something to the table. And you're thinking this is an influx of energy that women's division needed, but it just never came about. Just never came in the favor of Ember Moon.
Too many injuries. Yeah, when she first came in NXT, she was part of that second tier of women's wrestlers. So you thought, okay, they got the Sasha, Charlotte, Becky, and Bayley. They got the core four are up there. And you thought, okay, you saw Ember Moon doing the great things at NXT, and you thought, okay, she's going to be part of that next great class coming up. And unfortunately, always derailed by
someone
those
that really paid dues as well. I got a chance to one time take some time to sit back and kind of watch some beginnings of Ember Moon. She came from Booker T's school.
Okay,
down in Houston. She is a Texas girl and very dedicated and really wanted to do this, being a pro wrestler. Even though Booker T's school is in Houston, she grew up in Dallas. And she would talk about how as soon as school was over, she would make the drive.
Wow.
And she lied to her parents and told them she was going one place, but she was going to wrestling school. So she was taking that drive from Dallas to Houston. And Dallas and Houston are nowhere near. They're not anywhere close to being near one another. So this was something that she really wanted to do, and that was the place that she really wanted to work, which is WWE. And hit a crossroads. So Ember Moon, I'm sure she will not be a free agent for far too long after that non-compete clause expires.
Yeah.
One of the more surprising ones of the releases, Nia Jax.
Is it though?
Well,
were they waiting to do this and file it under the big releases? Because again, with her and Charlotte a couple months ago, and were always the injuring other stars and things like that.
Now she was taken out of action. They did the injury angle with her and Shannon Baszler, which I'm just kind of like, it took them long enough to finally break up that whole faction. But there were a lot of people that were suggesting that her release had to do with the fact that she had not been vaccinated.
Yeah.
And so Nia Jax decided to take to social media and break her silence on that whole thing, following what, again, a lot of people thought was a shocking release. One of the things that
yeah.
people have always talked about is that she's related to The Rock, and that's why she is still on the main roster. And look, I'm a main stickler on my issue was that I thought she got called up way too soon.
Yeah, she did at the point.
She wasn't fully prepared as far as ring work wise. We didn't see enough of her in NXT, but again, something different. She brought something to the table. She didn't look like anyone else on the main roster. However, she got called up way too soon. And then when we start having the issues in the reports about Nia being a little too rough in the ring and being a little difficult here and there, whatever, I thought that at that time that should have been an opportunity for the company to not necessarily demote, but send her back. Remember that there was that whole thing about Otis and Keith Lee.
Yes, the big workers had to go back down. Yeah.
They got to go back down. And my thing was that those guys really, I mean, yes, there were moments in matches where you're like, ooh, but for the most part, they didn't really give me the vibes that these guys just aren't ready to work on the main roster. Nia Jax, we kept seeing this over and over and over. And again, I'm not saying demote her, keep her down there full time, but at least give her time to go back down to NXT, get some work in, or the Performance Center, not even NXT, but the Performance Center to work a little bit more
but
we wouldn't see any more of what we saw, which seemed like too many tight moments with her on the main roster.
But to that point, you didn't have any women that size down at that roster. So I don't think they knew how, even if they brought her down there, they wouldn't know how to make her work big style. She would have to train basically with the guys. And I think that's maybe where they're just like, well, we may as well keep the attraction up here on the main level. She'll get better. I'm going to guess that's kind of the attitude they had because they probably thought, we have no one else to work with her down there to help her develop. We may as well keep her around here. She could learn from everyone else and it would get better. But I don't know. I mean, it really didn't seem to.
Now, she put up a lengthy statement on her social media, and she confirmed that her vaccination status, that was not brought up at all when she got informed that she had been let go by the company, but she did provide some information. We hadn't seen her on television since September, and she said that absence, they wrote her out, that injury storyline was due to her mental health. She wanted to take some time off. Yeah. And if you really look at it, I mean,
and she asked for an extension right when she got
absolutely
fired.
So she said in this social media post, she said, quote, I usually keep my personal life private, but yesterday's reports leave me with no option but to clarify matters. I recently took a short leave of absence from WWE for a mental health break. I've been working through so much more than I can share, and so I took some time with the full support of the company to take care of myself. Earlier this week, after WWE sent me my schedule to return to the ring for the November 15th show, I asked for an extension to my mental health break, feeling that I needed more time and hoping I would have the ongoing support of the company I have given my all to for the past 7 years. I did not receive a response. The next I heard, I was being released. My vaccination status was never mentioned. I wasn't given any choices or options. It breaks my heart to be so abruptly let go without consultation when dealing with so much privately. I love my career at WWE. I love the men and women I worked with, and I am going to need time to process this huge loss. I appreciate those people who have shown understanding and compassion during an incredible, difficult time.
Andrew Yang, paging line 1. Well, I mean, you release somebody when they're going through something like that. I mean, I know it's the whole independent contractor thing, but as a company, you can get in some real big hot water doing something like that. If any other company in America was found guilty of doing that, they would face some big-time repercussions.
Not saying that it's right, and I think that that's unfortunate that Nia Jax is currently out of a job. Again, I hate hearing about anyone being out of a job wherever it is, wherever they work and whatever it is they do. However, let's just say hypothetically, so who did she piss off that it's not like, the odds of them, unless you were planning on thrusting Nia back on the main roster to be a part of a big storyline, giving her a big push, I don't see any reason why, if she really needed an extension due to mental health, why you just couldn't give it to her. Because we've seen how you've been booking this shit.
Yeah. You didn't need her until like the Rumble.
Absolutely.
Just keep her off. And then people would be re-energized and say, hey, there she is again. Get a good thunderous applause or, whichever way they wanted to go with her. But there was no other plans right now with her at all that they could have gone. Just to get her back to her and Shayna to have that feud again, which they had the feud before they were a tag team. No. Just for that, no sense.
I will say that if there's anyone on this list that I could see being brought back to the company within the next 6 months or within the next year, I'll just say the next year, it would be her.
Yeah, I would.
Because regardless of what you may think about her in-ring work or this or that, again, she presents something different compared to what they already currently have on the roster. And I think that someone like her will always have a place. As long as she wants to continue to do pro wrestling, she'll have a place there. She's got the in, she's got the connections, and we'll see in terms of Nia Jax. Also on this list, Eva Marie.
Well,
this was disastrous from the get-go, right? It didn't work out the first time.
No.
She went away for several years.
Yeah.
She came back. We tried to give this whole thing a go again. She never at all, at least from what I saw, maybe you can correct me on this, I never saw any improvement from her in the ring compared to what we had seen before the first time.
The vignettes I liked when they were bringing her back.
Absolutely.
And we talked about it.
And then
what
we
she
had
should
her,
have been.
She should have been. We had her come out and she cut a promo about how she was looking to help the next generation of wrestlers. And you're thinking, fuck, we're really going to utilize her for what she should be. She should get her own staple.
Yes.
And
mouthpiece, and she could have been that.
No.
But again, this shows that Vince just hates, he doesn't want to develop any other side pieces or, mouthpieces or anything that's not in the ring wrestler. Because you look at this list and you're like, oh, okay, here's more examples of people he just hates managers.
Yeah, well,
we always known that, but I'm just saying she
couldn't work. We knew this.
But she could draw some good heat on the mic.
Absolutely. Great heat.
Fantastic.
But then we felt that the best way to utilize her is in the ring. That is not her.
No.
This is no disrespect to her. But she would have been an absolute killer back in the day.
Yeah.
The 80s and the 90s being a valet.
Yes.
She would have been up there.
Yeah, exactly.
That apparently is not as valued anymore in today's world of pro wrestling.
Unless you're Paul Heyman. That's the only one he keeps around. It's the only one. And if Heyman wasn't over as much as he would, I'm sure he would get rid of him. Now, MVP too, I guess, but MVP they still throw in the ring now and then. So, yeah.
We basically used her to get Dewdrop over.
Yes.
And she was also, just like Nia Jax, we wrote her off the storyline with Shayna Baszler with an injury angle. Basically, Shayna Baszler has a little percentage on this list of getting people released. Is she the new, not necessarily legend killer, but
she's
career
the pink slipper.
Killer. Yeah, so. So we'll see, and it's not like Eva Marie, this is an end-all. This is not a be-all, end-all. She'll be fine. She's
the Instagram
great social
stuff and all the other modeling stuff.
She's
good.
She'll be just good.
Yeah.
Karrion Kross.
Oh, jeez.
Yikes. These last two, this will remain. And look, I can't even really say that we should be completely shocked by this because we saw even more shocking releases earlier in the year.
I guess.
These here, you look at this list, and this is without a doubt just a major kind of fuck you to Triple H in the original NXT.
Yeah.
And it shows me that Vince McMahon and his inner circle, no pun intended, they are pretty much slowly but surely phasing out any type of roster influence that Triple H has in this company.
Yeah.
Karrion Kross, they brought him in, and look, this was a guy that you saw big things from, at least I did, when we saw him as Killer Kross working in Impact.
Yes.
And he was thirsty to get out of that contract. I know there was a little back and forth. They wanted to kind of hold him up, and they weren't letting him go. And then he finally was granted his release, and Triple H immediately saw what this guy brought to the table.
Yeah.
And with Scarlett, that we get to Scarlett.
Well, we can throw them together.
We can go ahead and throw them together. Scarlett as well. Scarlett, they presented, just a great looking package.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you, when I thought of their ring entrance and Scarlett coming out and singing and just this big, huge cinematic, just this whole, or not cinematic, but just this the way they were presented, I felt like it was a stamp of approval from Triple H. Like I kind of saw like a Triple H Steph type of entrance. Like this would be if Triple H and Steph were active right now on the main roster.
Yeah, power couple.
Yes, like if Triple H and Steph were currently on the main roster active, that would be the type, because we've seen them do it before at WrestleMania with the motorcycles and the big, theatrics and so very well put together. They made him dominant. He was he was a guy. He was kind of like their, I don't want to say no sell, but he was a guy that could take a lot of punishment and it wouldn't phase him. We made him the NXT champion. He unfortunately got hurt. He was off television for a little bit, came back and
won it again.
And we bring him up to the main roster, and immediately, first it started off with dark matches, right? They wanted to take a look at him.
Yes.
They were bringing him up to TV.
This is the kiss of death.
Yes.
When they ask you to do some dark matches.
And we're thinking, okay, this is just a dark match. Like, we're not really paying attention to the fact that there was no Scarlett with him, but they were bringing him out alone.
Yeah.
And then it was time to bring him up to the main roster. And then we brought him out. And it was the same thing.
Yeah.
There's no Scarlett.
Yeah.
And there's no big entrance. And the ring gear is gone.
Yeah.
And we just bring him out dry without his lady.
We tried the demolition look on him.
And we have him lose to Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
And yes, we got the demolition angle. And then we repackaged. And then we put him in a suit.
We're doing promos by shot clocks in the back of NBA arenas.
Yes, in suits. And he's doing backstage promos. Yeah. And then there's talk that there was going to be more another repackage.
Yeah.
So as far as Kross, and now we're hearing that apparently he had attracted some heat backstage. That this was, now you got to take this with a grain of salt. I just love how WWE, you see these reports that they say, well, so and so on the way out, having some attitude issues.
Final one we're talking about, he has been linked to that as well.
Yeah, so
which is hard to believe.
Yeah. So now, as far as Scarlett, the plans was that they were apparently looking to use Scarlett in the ring as a wrestler.
No, yeah.
And many backstage, they did push the pair back up with Karrion Kross and reunite as they did in NXT. But apparently that idea landed on deaf ears. So they were screwed from the jump. As soon as, they were in a rock and a hard place, NXT was about to be rebranded, so they had no choice but to move them up to the main roster. But then you're cutting the legs from underneath both. With Kross, his booking was obviously greatly questioned by many that were backstage, and they pleaded that the direction they were going was not correct. But according to Fightful, they are adding that all the new additions on the main roster were, or at least his additions on the main roster, not his idea. And then they confirmed this as far as the other person that just recently got released as well, who said the Bearcat nickname was not something that he wanted either. So
I mean, just right now, the package, with them ripping everything NXT out from Triple H, It was his job to get these guys ready for the New York packaging, doing the promos, the introductions, the entrances, the work in the ring, the triple package. I mean, all of that stuff to get them ready for the New York presentation of what they would like. This couple, Scarlett and Karrion Kross, to a T, you would think, would match Kevin Dunn's expectations and Vince McMahon. They were all ready to go with this package. They had the entrance. They had the look. He had the in-ring work. They were perfect. And now, whatever the hell reason, no, they're not what he wants. It's not what Kevin Dunn wants. It's just like, I could see why Triple H is not rushing to get back any damn time soon, because everything he was told to teach these talents to get them ready for the next level has obviously been well thrown out the window, and no one knows now what the hell they want.
Yeah. Keith Lee, the others. So Karrion Kross, he's not the only one in that boat. Keith Lee joins him.
With Kross, though, I'm wondering, that's got to be a 30-day, though, right? Because he was still NXT with his contract, unless, the way they've been screwing those contracts up. Scarlett's got to be 30 days, so I would think he might be a 30-day release, so he might be having a Merry Christmas on AEW soon.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll find out more in terms of their contract status here before the end of the week. Keith Lee came in, very well known off the indie scene, came in and was a part of that Triple H movement of doing it that way to get ready for the main roster.
Yeah.
We bring him up. Night one, you immediately saw it.
Yes.
I mean, the fucking company and them just having to put their fucking stamp on everybody.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. We changed the theme music.
Yes.
We put him out there in what looked to be a fucking skirt.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And this is even after the fact that we had saw him debut in the Rumble and Brock Lesnar put him over. Roman Reigns, these guys putting over Keith Lee. And you're thinking, man, they're going to put the rocket ship on him. We had him beat Randy Orton clean. First night.
Well, yeah, they shot him up to the title picture right when he came up. I mean, he was in those programs. And yes, he beat Orton clean. Where the hell did it go wrong?
Got a little dry. As you remember, earlier in the year, we didn't see him around the beginning of the year, a little after the Rumble. And, I always say that we don't have the WrestleMania U.S. title match of Riddle and Sheamus if Keith Lee doesn't get sick. Now, he came down with COVID, and then there were other issues that got thrown in there, too, because of, with the COVID, they had discovered heart inflammation.
Yep.
And, I mean, this is a guy that, according to Lee and other sources, he was damn near death. Mm-hmm. And he's home, and Mia Yim has taken time to be there for him. And, he took some time off, and we didn't see him on TV for the longest amount of time. And then when he did, it's like it was business as usual. They weren't going to, do anything different. We brought him back. There were rumors, and I think where they went wrong with him was that we never gave him a mouthpiece to match his presence of being a big badass. And no, I don't mean fucking Adam Cole, but we could have
put him in that stable, then they would have been fucking huge if he decided, to put them together. But no, he didn't want to put him with MVP in the stable. We had to keep him out of that because we had to break them up before Mania anyway. So they shit on that.
Yeah, and and Lee has since made a statement, and he's talked about it's difficult right now, but he's excited for what his future is going to be. And
it's AEW. I mean, that's
but this whole thing about the attitude problems, though, we're just now hearing about.
Yeah, this one is
Keith
weird.
Lee reportedly had some attitude problems in his last few days with the company or leading up to his release. And
that's perfectly explainable with all the shit he had to put up the last year and a half.
Yeah, this is from Wade Keller of PW Torch, who says, quote, Keith Lee I've chronicled for months and months and months and months and months with somebody that even people that were rooting for him behind the scenes became frustrated with him. He just had, in general, attitude issues, or as one wrestler told me tonight, perceived attitude issues, edging a little bit. Others have said outright attitude problems. He just was frustrated. I've heard different things about him in terms of his mood being altered way more than it should in the modern era, about being asked to do a job, said Keller in regards to Keith Lee. Again, looking at how we booked this guy,
that's the problem. Yeah.
You would be a little salty too, and maybe not in the most cheeriest of fucking moods in the back.
Yeah, and you basically have taken everything away from him. Things that he was developed with down at NXT to come up with. Now you're reteaching him everything on the fly of how they want it to work now in New York.
Again, this company with their fucking stamps on people, we just have to, we just can't help it.
No.
And it's such an insult, too, for the fans. And this is what happens when you have multimedia company conglomerates paying billions of dollars for shit like the WWE Network or the rights to broadcast this show or that show on their networks. They do what the fuck they want without a care in the world about what you and I and all the wrestling fans fucking think. They don't care. Yeah. We just seen guys like Karrion Kross and Keith Lee the same week on your programming on the same channel. Being presented one way.
Yeah.
So why is it that we're just switching shows, keeping them on the same network, but we've got to drastically change something about their presentation? Like, here's the reports here that the company has filed new trademarks that are going to be used for some NXT ring names, most specifically for Gable Stevenson's brother, who was already signed with the company, Bobby. And some of the names that have been trademarked recently is Ulisa Leone, which I'm going to imagine is not for Stevenson, but it seems like this fucking Damon Kemp trademark name is going to be something we're going to see. Even after the fact you've signed the brother, who you know they're most likely not going to change that name.
No.
And they look similar.
Well, Braun Breaker, we know who he is.
We know he's a
Steiner, but
he doesn't even have to open up his mouth. He gives off Steiner vibes.
Well, the new Uso, we call him something else now too, and it's just like we know who he's part of. In fact, you could make it part of your bloodline that he's trying to take over NXT, make it part of the whole deal. No, that's just too much creative booking. I do want to play a little devil's advocate, though.
Okay.
70 guys and gals have been released.
Okay.
How many, though, have made their mark already? Are they justified in these releases? How many have gone to other places and got over? That's the thing I was thinking about. I know I don't want to think about it that way because I know these are men and women that are working their asses off, but I'm thinking they might be right with some of these because they haven't really made their mark.
And listen, to be also fair, and this isn't saying that the company is right or wrong, whatever. Look, they made a business decision. They are trimming some fat. They are doing what they feel right now is best for the company. A lot of these releases, as we've seen like earlier in the year, people who are not being really used on television.
No. That's the thing.
We don't know what they're doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And the
bigger
creatively,
names,
they clearly don't have any plans for.
Yeah, and the bigger names that moved on where their contracts were up with Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole, and we see how Cole's been used.
It doesn't look the greatest right now, but at least there's hope, and you know that there is something eventually in the up and up direction for Adam Cole. I honestly do not worry about Cole. I think at this point, to be honest with you, it would take an awful lot to bury Adam Cole in terms of
they're doing a damn good job right now of it. I'm just saying.
Let's say this.
Yeah.
Let's say this. The company in AEW, not to digress or flip-flop all over the place, the company just brought in Bobby Fish.
Yes.
O'Reilly's contract is set to be coming up soon.
Yeah, and they're not
and
renewing
he doesn't fit the current NXT.
No.
And creatively, there's nothing for him on the main roster.
Yeah.
So he's most likely gone too. You could
redo the package, though, that made them stars on the other TV. So then again, you're facing that issue.
Because but you could still put them together, and eventually Cole is. I know you don't want to see him as a babyface, but eventually Cole will be breaking away from the Elite and being the face in that angle, whatever they decide to do. And Cole's going to need backup if he's going to take on that faction, Fish and O'Reilly.
We'll see.
We're trying to make sense of this.
Yes.
But more with WWE. The big news of the week, PJ. I mean, it's their Super Bowl. It's one of the most exciting times of the year, and no matter what, they always hype you into wanting to see this, no matter how shitty the card may be. WrestleMania, 37 down so far. We get 38 for 2022. He's going back to Jerry's World, baby. 2-night event. I think it's pretty safe to say that this is going to be the norm from here on out. WrestleManias are probably going to be 2 nights.
Yeah, the big hype, but they on sale today. So that was the big hype about it. So Roman already said he's in the main event, so acknowledge him and get your tickets. That was the tweet he put out there.
And it's
today.
most likely going to be against Brock Lesnar at this point.
From what I'm hearing, Brock, and there might be a Drew McIntyre thrown in there.
Well, we know for sure it's got to be Reigns and Lesnar, right? Because we just found out that they both brought in about $5 million here in the last year.
Yes.
So they are the big head of the tables, the moneymakers in the company.
Yeah, it sounds like the Rock thing is out, but it is going to be Lesnar and Reigns. And like I said, they might throw McIntyre in for a triple threat because he also has angles with both guys, they say, still out there. So might be another triple. They just cannot get away from the triple threat main events, and it looks like that's what we're looking at for this
One
year.
thing that no one will ever say about WrestleMania is that it doesn't help the economy. It's not like the Olympics. The Olympics, they come in and they usually destroy your city. WrestleMania is usually bringing in some revenue.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 38 is expected to bring in about $250,000 or more into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area of Texas. WrestleMania 32 back in 2016. I can't believe it's been that long already. But that was, of course, held at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. And the economic impact for that one was said to have been worth north of $170 million.
Well, this is going to be a hell of a feat to fill up 1,000-seat stadium for 2 nights.
Which they're not going to get that both nights back to back, to be fair. They might get 50. They're not getting 100,000 both nights.
50. That's the thing. One night, I'm sure he wants it filled up. So that's the problem they're going to have here.
Do you go light on the card? I mean, you can't have a night where you're going. You can't have a first night of being light on the card, though, right?
No. So
You're saying you still book it strong, but just that second night, just open it up all together.
Well, it sounds like the Reigns-Lesnar thing is going to be the closing night. So
as it should.
It should be. So that might be your strong night. But like this year, we thought in Tampa that the first night was going to be weak, and that turned out to be pretty damn good. Yeah. So you just book it the way it was, and we'll find out when we get there, I guess.
Now, of course, that extra boost in money is said with the extra night. It said it's going to add another $80 million into the local economy for the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Well, they'll like that, and then LA will like it next year when they go out there to SoFi after they break it in. I know Vince is going to be mad that the Super Bowl's breaking it in more before they are, but he's going to have to live with that now.
Becky Lynch in the news later on during the week. We're giving you, if you're kind of wondering what the heck just happened with episode 27, well, we gave you a first part of it with the releases from earlier, and we're continuing our recording right now, so we're giving you news that it's also developed over the week. Mm-hmm. So you're getting one big action-packed episode of Slade and PJ, if that's what you're down for. If you're willing to get tag teamed by us. Yeah. So Becky Lynch, in a recent interview, she sat down with Sports Illustrated, which the fact that I find it comical that in the state that it's currently in, it's not looked at as the credible sports mag that it once was. But WWE thinks that they're credible enough and will give them enough of a rub to send their superstars to talk to SI.
Yep.
Well, Becky Lynch recently chatted with Sports Illustrated and was asked about her recent run-in with Charlotte Flair and if she was willing to give her view of this situation. Now, I'm so over this already. Do I think that there? Let me go ahead and tell you what Becky said in regards to her real life heat, if you will, as I air quote my fingers between her and Charlotte. She said, quote, "I don't know, man. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk. So all I'll say is that the locker room needs a hero sometimes, and sometimes somebody's got to be a hero. I'm all right being that hero. That's what I'll say on that matter." And now Charlotte got wind of this, and she ended up going on Twitter this morning, and she threw her stuff out there with the simple tweet of everyone wants to be the hero in their own story. So this has got the internet, especially social media and wrestling Twitter buzzing, PJ, about this perceived ongoing feud between Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. Let's be real here. This is, after all, this is WWE. Do I think that they've had some disagreements? Yes, I think all professional wrestlers who come in contact or work together or have a sort of a power struggle at some point, it's just in an environment that is encouraged to have competition. We hear about this all the time. This is the type of competition, competitive chaos that Vince McMahon prefers in his locker room.
Yes, he does.
Now, do I still think that they are good friends cordially to a degree? I think so. I'm pretty sure. But at the end of the day, this is still WWE. How much of this, I guess what I'm asking you, how much of this is work, and how much of this is actual, like, for real, like a shoot?
I think they may be working themselves into a shoot because this is Becky's calling card, though. All the stuff she did with Ronda on Twitter was fantastic, and it got us to buy in and wanted that match at Mania. We just wanted her in, Becky and Ronda, but it turned out with Charlotte in there. So now this go around, we're building this up a little bit more on Twitter. I do believe there's some heat between the two. I don't think they're as close as they once were. I really do believe that. Now, they both know they want to draw some money. And obviously, you throw this equation in there. It could have a little Brett and Shawn feel to it because I do think both of them want to be known as the A-star of the program.
Yeah, but as far as I know, Charlotte Flair's not sleeping with Seth Rollins, though. They're not sleeping with the same man, as far as we know. And Becky's not sleeping with Andrade.
Well, yeah. Well, Becky ain't going to be throwing out any sunny days comments either towards Charlotte or Andrade days. I mean, they could really go a ways here, but I think, like you said, Vince loves this kind of thing, so he might be thinking they want to go back to the old days with some of their storylines. It could be living out right in front of them. It was true. Charlotte got escorted out of the building the one day after the old title exchange segment that was just booked poorly to begin with and put them both in a terrible situation. But
that's the thing, right?
What started this blow up?
Do they really? I'll continue to go on with what Becky, she was asked about working with someone that you have issues with. Does it make it difficult in the ring? She said, 100% more difficult. Yeah. That's the thing. When you've got two people that are wanting to work together to make magic, then you make magic. Sometimes when there's hostility, when you can't trust the person, then you never know what's going to happen. You always have to be on guard. It's like a game of chess. You have to be thinking 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps ahead. What are they going to do? How am I going to handle it? If they do this, if they do that, whatever. Now, there have been wrestlers in the past that have talked about this, about working with people that they may be having some difficulty with backstage. One of the more recent ones, I believe, was Booker T talking about after he and Batista had their run-in in real life, which he chalked up to miscommunication. They still ended up working an angle to King Booker and Batista at the time. And I remember one time at Comic-Con interviewing Kevin Nash, and he talked about, there still has to be a sense of professionalism in the ring because you're not ever trying to intentionally hurt anyone. But he did say that you tend to get along with the ones better. And I remember being at Comic-Con and seeing him hugging and genuinely embracing people that you always at least heard through the dirt sheets that he doesn't get along with. And he said, no, like, of course, I get along with him because we made a lot of money together.
Yep.
So maybe this is what Becky and Charlotte maybe are doing. And like you said, there's probably a lot of truth to their differences. But how much of this, I can tell you, being they're both on different brands, for right now, I don't care. We're not anywhere close to WrestleMania, and they're not on the same brand.
There's the Survivor Series
we do,
thing.
But
I just, that's the problem.
Is this what we're building up, a Brett Sean Survivor Series type of heat?
I don't want
angle?
it for, you don't want it for Survivor Series, though. Like we just discussed before, you're going to need something for that first night of Mania. You got to figure these two have got to be the other main event.
Is that the night to unify the titles?
I think it is. I mean, right now you're seeing that they've got a lot of great women athletes, but it may be time to do that.
Moving on in WWE news, there's a lot of talk right now, dude, that Walter may be finally making the move, or at least ready to make the move to the States. Now, up until now, we found out why he had not made the move over to the States. Of course, they were bringing him over for NXT, a part of Imperium here and there, but predominantly he was working the NXT UK show. But now we know that he was, at that time, not coming over here, or at least in a hurry, because he wanted to stay close to his wife, and he also has his house in Germany. However, there have been some changes in his personal life since then that has led him to now reconsider his stance on working full-time here in the States, as he is said to be now getting a divorce, and he is currently now dating NXT UK star Jenny. So the couple, they made it social media official.
Yep.
So they posted some photos and all that, and this may have a lot to do with, besides the fact they were touring the UK, giving him Cesaro in some matches for the UK crowd when the WWE was over there for a tour.
But I'm afraid if he comes over here, they just don't know. They've never really known what to do with foreign stars when they come over here for the most part, especially a giant like that. Without Triple H's guidance right now on this, I fear what will happen to him. He'll be another Kurgan.
Well, with Monday Night Raw this past, Vladimir Kozlov is what I see every time I see. I mean, a more polished version of Kozlov was very raw. Walters worked for a while, but I kind of see that same type of, because they tried this with Kozlov about 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Raw, as we talked about before, Vince McMahon, he was not there. In Gorilla, neither he or Bruce. It was John Laurinaitis that was running the show this past Monday night. It was a terrible Raw as usual, which didn't really have much to offer. We'll jump on the Raw show here a little bit later in the show. But Corey Graves, if you were not aware, he had briefly won the 24/7 title on this show.
And so did Brian Saxton.
Yes.
This was a terrible segment.
So Graves is now kind of thrown out some breadcrumbs of maybe wanting to get back in the ring.
No.
He took this on Twitter, so you say immediately he's trolling.
I hope so. He's great at trolling,
yes.
So I could see that happening.
Yeah, he said, I kind of want to wrestle again. Now, he tweeted that. He says, I won a championship in WWE without ever stepping into the ring. He also lost it the same night as well.
Yes.
Now, Graves, if you're not aware, if you just recently started watching wrestling, or you only know Corey Graves strictly from his work as being a mic man in WWE. He was a professional wrestler. He had a run on the indies. He had signed a developmental deal with the company about 10 years ago, back in 2011. But his issue, and they highlighted that, I want to say on a ESPN, a E60, or
I think he was
some,
part of
like
that
a behind
NXT
the scene.
one.
Yeah. Concussions, that was the thing, his health,
Yes.
staying healthy. And so they saw something in him. They said, hey, this guy, it's kind of tough getting him consistently to stay in the ring, but he's really good on the mic. And it was Triple H and a few others behind the scenes that really liked him and came up with this ideal of, hey, how about we have you do here and there, little things, commentary here, backstage, some interviews here and there, whatever. And Graves, he's taken that and he's ran with it, a lot like Taz back in the day. To me, he's followed and I think he's eclipsed what Taz did, transitioning from wrestler to commentary. It's nothing against what Taz is doing. I'm not counting AEW or anything like that. I'm talking about with this company.
Yeah.
Graves has gotten a podcast. He's gotten his own interview, various segments that are on the network right now that you can dig up. And, life is good for Corey Graves, I guess. So why get back in the ring and want to take bumps?
And he's keyed in on everything going on and the trolls out there, too. So, I mean, he could throw that out there and then get the AEW marks all excited, too. I mean, he loves doing that, so that's just part of the gig. But if he is feeling the bug, I wouldn't be surprised, too, because, I mean, that's been a recurring theme here for WWE last couple of years.
Kudos shout out to Randy Orton from this past week. There was a video. I'm not sure. I don't think we actually talked about this off the mic, but there was a video that circulated around on social media, and that showed Randy Orton. They were over in the UK, as we talked about a little bit ago. This was a live event over in Birmingham, England. And Randy, it's after the match, it's post-match, and Randy's out there chilling, and he's slapping hands with the fans and being a genuine babyface, or just being just a genuine, guy. People have talked about Randy's mellowed out a lot over the years, and he's really embracing the fans. And as you see in the video, he immediately stops from embracing the fans to kind of alert security and other people surrounding this little kid. Hey, back up. You guys are pushing this little kid against the barricade. And this is, it immediately, I mean, it was, I don't want to say nothing like perfect timing, but it was like, in a week that a lot of the news has been on Travis Scott and the Astro World and the unfortunate tragedies there. There was a correlation there, and Randy Orton, someone just so happened to be filming with their phone and kind of seeing Orton taking the time to kind of, okay, let's break away from the whole wrestling and the handshake and this and that. We got to make sure that this young kid's okay. I'm a really small kid, and they were able to get that kid out of the crowd. I mean, a lot of people there, so they were able to kind of. You can check that video out on YouTube or wherever.
That was the dad, Randy Orton, taking over right there. I mean, with his, I think 3 or 4 he's got at least in his household. So that was definitely the dad right there on the road, and not the Viper. And big kudos to him.
Now, if they would have pulled this kid out of the crowd just for Randy to give him an RKO, it would have to be. I don't even think dickhead MJF could top that in terms of being a heel. I mean,
that would be up there. That would be up there.
Do you imagine Cornette if Orton RKO'd a little 10-year-old?
Disavow and disown him forever. Yes, he would. Because if you hear all the stuff that Omega has done and the Young Bucks to kids in Japan, if he did this to a kid, he would. Well, maybe he would like it if it was heelish. I don't know.
Oh, and not silly.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
WWE Raw from this past week. This was all surrounding, of course, Big E and the championship. I will at least say, since Big E has won this title, and since Big E has officially been on Raw, unlike some weeks with McIntyre or Lashley, you pick or choose, you can look back at those reigns, and although they had, I thought, good reigns, every Raw was never always built around that title. So far, they've tried to kind of really build this show around Big E and that title. And we've got, you needed some heels. And we talked about that ladder match to determine the number one contender. We already knew who was going to win that match because there was only one heel in that match at the time, Seth Rollins. Okay, who are the other heels? Who are going to be other people you're going to be able to feed to Big E? Well, we finally got that answer. We had a really good idea of who that was going to be. It was just a matter of when this person was going to snap. But, Kevin Owens brutally attacking Big E at the end of Raw as the show went off the air.
Yep.
Owens, he spent the entire night trying to prove to everyone that him nearly beating Big E in underhanded fashion was not a sign that he had reverted back to his old heel tactics.
Yes.
Now, this was after the misunderstanding caused by Seth Rollins, who has been kind of throwing out there that this was no. Kevin and I, we've already talked about this. This was already planned, and so it's got Big E, and everyone knows that Steen or Owens is known for turning at any given moment.
Yeah.
This guy took one of the best segments of all time and ruined it by turning on Chris Jericho.
Exactly. Yes, he did. With the list. Yes.
Now, rather than prove himself as an innocent player in the situation, Owens ended up just ending the night by snapping and attacked Big E. So this is a Raw from the KFC Yum Center in Louisville.
Yes.
Which I'm surprised they didn't get the Dolph Ziggler Colonel ads back on.
Yeah, I know. They should have. They done that. But with this match, too, with Owens and Big E, he was showing that he might snap because the pop-up powerbomb came back. There was some old moves that Kevin would do when he was a heel. So they did a good job, actually, in that match to bring that, oh, he did that again. And then at the end, the powerbomb right on the apron outside, the typical thing that, he snapped and turned, and they did a good job, both of them, telling it and getting him back to heel. But he's only going to be a heel, for about a month and a half until that contract's up. So,
yeah. And that main event that PJ's talking about, this was Seth Rollins who defeated Owens via the countout.
Yeah.
Owens ran into Big E on the outside. It was so blatant. I mean, what they were trying to do. Big E was down at ringside for the match, looking on, doing commentary, just kind of laying there. This match, for the most part, hard-hitting match.
Yeah.
And they got to the outside of the ring, and this is where this happened. This little run-in, literally.
The run-in was kind of weak, though. I'll say that.
It was
with
very.
Big E just there. I mean, it was just strange.
It served its purpose. Rollins, he gets out of the ring. He sprints up to the ramp, and he's laughing, and he knows he's gotten away with murder in this circumstance, at least. And, the heel turn is certainly fine for me and everyone. Honestly, I think they gravitate more. And I hate to say, but I think the fans love Owens more when
he's a better heel. Yeah, way better heel than a face.
Because he looks like the type of piece of shit that would really turn on you.
Plus, too, how he came in. He came in as a heel against Cena.
He's like a lazy car mechanic that would definitely...
Yes. He's going to screw you over. Plus, he's a Canadian. And he's a Canadian from Montreal, of all things. So he's a French Canadian.
So he's singing all kinds of shit. You have no idea of what he's... what else happened on this shitty show? We had Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, AJ Styles, and Omos. They defeated RK Bro and the Street Profits after Omos hit Riddle with a choke slam. They are once again, they continue to keep Omos very strong.
Yeah.
And they have him doing a lot of this damage to Riddle. If you notice, they have not had Omos and Orton really touch one another yet. So I'm wondering, when are we finally letting the reins loose for Omos as a solo guy? And for all we know, he might be working hard behind the scenes. We're not aware, but I do sense that coming out of this, eventually we'll get a Orton-Omos match, whether you want it or not, just based on how they're doing this. Riddle's taking all the bumps.
I know, and that's the thing. After I thought they did a great job of building Riddle up when Orton was gone, he had that match against Styles, which was a fantastic one. I'm like, okay, finally, he's going to get to this next level. No, they just pound the shit out of him with Omos, and that's the way they're going to go. Royal Rumble, I'm going to guess Omos is going to be the guy that throws out 10 guys, so he's going to have that spot in the match. So you're right. It's coming where they're going to start. They have to set them out. Because with AJ, too, you can't have him tied up for a tag team for 2 Manias. I'm sure he did this to help out with Omos, to develop the guy, take him under his wing. Like you said, too, maybe save some bumps, extend it a little bit. But you can't have AJ in a tag team for another Mania.
We got a return on Monday Night Raw. The former champ, Bobby Lashley, with MVP.
Yes, the proper package together.
Bobby and MVP, man, they love terrorizing legend sons. This seems to be...
Well, this was brought on by Adam Pearce.
It was.
Which Pearce, I don't know what they're trying to do, because you have... on the other channel, DeVille being heelish.
Mirrored booking with these Raw SmackDown teams.
And now you have Pearce coming out and being a heel right away and saying, I want Raw to be 5-0. Well, you're not. You're supposed to be the GM of both, so you wouldn't care if Raw did better than SmackDown
not just
or not.
that, but your entire Raw team going into Survivor Series, which is a matchup that nobody gives a shit for.
Yeah.
All 5 of the guys who had been originally named to the Raw team had just been on Team SmackDown 3 weeks ago.
Correct.
So what do they give a shit?
Yeah.
I got a hunch that SmackDown's going to win the Survivor Series match.
5-0 this year because Raw won it 5-0 last year.
But what I'm saying is you got the current Team SmackDown, for the men's I speak of, versus the Team Raw, in which everybody, with the exception of now Lashley, who defeated Dominic to take his spot by submission with the Hurt Lock, that original 5 for Raw, they had just been on the SmackDown show. So it was basically going to be a SmackDown versus SmackDown. But anyways, that's what we got. And, Pierce made the match. Lashley takes over the spot. And I'm nothing against Dominic, but I think that this allows – we're not going to get any kind of Mysterio-Lashley angle out of this.
No.
I think your Austin Theory and Dominic is what they're clearly shooting for.
Yeah.
And I think Team Raw, I think this is a last-minute change. I don't think Lashley was expected to be back with MVP maybe this soon. Maybe they were shooting for something.
Yeah.
Maybe Dominic was the original backup plan just in case. But Lashley gives it a little bit more star power to make you take Raw a little more seriously going into the match.
Well, I don't know how the ticket sales are, but they are back at Barclays, which used to be their stronghold for SummerSlam. So now they're giving them Survivor Series, one of the big 4. So you want to have a pretty good card, and obviously you want Lashley on that card. So they probably called him back and said, yep, we need you, pal. Sorry about that. Maybe we'll give you some time off after you do this, but we need you in this match.
Earlier in the show, Big E was actually in action. He defeated Chad Gable after a big ending. After the match, though, Otis got in the ring to stare down Big E. So this is kind of like some AEW shit right now, where we got the champ being pointed in various directions.
Yes.
You know, he's got
it was.
something going on with Rollins and Owens, and then we've been having him with a few backstage segments over the last couple of weeks with Gable and Otis. So we shall see. Reggie regained his 24/7 championship back again. We talked to you about that. He lost it to Drake Maverick, who then lost it to Tozawa, who then lost it to Corey Graves, who then lost it to Byron Saxton, who then lost it back to Maverick before Maverick got pinned by Reggie, and then Reggie was able to escape up the entrance ramp with his 24/7 title, a title that no one cares about.
This was a segment that took up about 6 minutes of TV time.
Yeah.
Which didn't need to.
We got a Liv Morgan win after she defeated Carmella, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley.
Yes.
With a clean, roll-up.
With a roll-up.
The almighty dangerous roll-up, and they had her do it on Carmella. Okay, that's the only reason Carmella was in this match.
Mm-hmm.
Doudrop, though, ended up attacking Bianca Belair during the match, and that was basically teasing a heel turn. Which started in the locker room earlier in the night with the Raw women's locker room members arguing. So, but anyways, Morgan's going to get a title shot as a result of her victory. When? We don't know. As far as we know, it could be possible Liv Morgan will never get this title shot. She could be fucking future endeavored by the time it's time to get her title shot. The way this company does things.
The way the Wyatt squad has, I mean, that's the thing. But we'll see. I mean, she finally gets her push after she was going to marry Lana and ruin the wedding 2 years ago. She finally gets the title shot. And Doudrop, I guess they need another big female villain because they got rid of Nia Jax. So they need a big, presence that could be an evil heel. And Doudrop, congratulations. Thanks for doing all the silly shit. Now you're a heel.
Yeah. On to WWE SmackDown. This show was built around the Tribal Chief and Xavier Woods, or King Woods.
Yeah, for the second straight week, we have a bend at the knee match, which I'm like, well, okay, I guess.
I will say, and I talked about this on our social media, Bush League MS Pod, by the way, on Twitter. I said, this has always, to me, been a heel gimmick. Now, so far, we don't know what direction this is going to go. My guess is that eventually Xavier will get a little big-headed.
But he's been teasing a little bit here. Yeah.
He does get you behind a babyface King of the Ring, though. He's done a good job. The crowd's into it.
Yep.
And they're doing angles that would make you think that he is still sympathetic. He doesn't look down upon his peers. Yeah. Kofi's hurt. And
I do got to say, too, like you said, he is doing a great job because you just had a battle for the crown just like a month ago with Shinsuke and Corbin.
He's made you forget about that already.
He's made you completely forget about that. He's done a great job with that. I kind of doubted. I'm like, Xavier, I'm not sure but no, he's done a great job with it.
Yeah. So, we got Reigns taking on King Woods, and this match had plenty of heat, not only because Woods is the current king of the ring, but also because Woods was representing New Day. This is ahead of Big E, who's going to be facing Reigns at the upcoming pay-per-view. So we're all thinking, hey, Big E's got to be showing up again, another fucking direction. We got him with Otis here, Rollins and Owens, but he's got a match coming up with Reigns in which we know will be some interference.
Yes.
Reigns was willing to put his title on the line in unique fashion, as well as his career on SmackDown against Woods. This was thrown out there backstage in a great segment between Reigns, Heyman, and Braxton.
Yes.
And so this match, unsatisfying finish, to say the least. The Usos end up interfering in this match that ultimately cost Reigns the match via DQ. But it also allowed the Tribal Chief to score a vicious moral victory over Woods, as they also stole his crown. They started, So Reigns pretty much crowned himself at the end of this show. I will at least say that, and, I guess one of my biggest complaints always in AEW, and sometimes WWE too, is that I don't feel that every televised match with the champ, whether it be the opening match or the main event, I don't believe that it always has to go 20 minutes or 15 minutes.
Correct.
They actually, though, this King gimmick has allowed King Woods to have a special sprinkle added on to him, where you can kind of get behind these guys having a competitive match.
Yes.
And that's what they made this. They didn't make Woods out to be some weak link or anything like that. This is actually a match.
Yeah, and, I thought going to the match, yes, he'll bump for Reigns. He'll make him look strong and all that, but it was, pretty competitive. Reigns did a good job selling for Woods, and, you've got to give it to Reigns. He is the number one guy in the business. I don't care what anyone says right now. He is the number one star, without a shadow of a doubt, and he's doing it with everything right now. Yeah. And Fox wants that. They want the star on, because I was thinking too, man, we've now had him in 2 or 3 matches on Fox for the last month and a half, so it's starting to become maybe a little bit more, maybe they'll back away here after this one, but we're seeing him in too many matches on Fox right now. But I know they want to get their money's worth, so that's how you do it with the big star.
Yeah.
But you're right, with Woods, they've done a great job of building him right now.
The show started off during the night with Sonya Deville in the ring, and she's announcing the SmackDown women's team. And this match, there ended up being a match that broke out because
we had a 5-minute. We had to go 5 minutes with this segment. Then we went
right into a break.
Yeah,
5 minutes because we were setting up this match, which turned out to be a 6 ladies tag match. And that team of Aaliyah, who I had to ask you completely forgot that she was in the Robert Stone brand. We kept her off television for the longest time. Yes, she got hot-shotted up to the SmackDown roster. Now she is the number one crush of all the guys in the back, at least the last couple of weeks. We got guys that started off with Jeff Hardy, and then Ricochet, and then Ali. We got all the guys in the back trying to spit game to her because she's the new gorgeous girl in the back. And we clearly are looking to do something with Aaliyah. Some kind of a push of some sort. We kind of got a little bit of our answer, what direction they kind of want to go into. But anyways, her team, Aaliyah, Naomi, Sasha Banks, they defeated the team of Shotzi Blackheart, Shayna Baszler, Natalya, and Aaliyah got Natalya.
Yep.
I saw Natalya Natalya, she's out there in the ring to start this show off. And then when this broke into a match, I said the baby face team, if you want to call them that, is Natalya's eating the pin.
Yes, unfortunately,
that's why
again,
Shotzi's too new. We just started Shotzi off with a bang with the match with Charlotte and having her turning on Sasha. Yep. Shayna Baszler's a true heel now. She's taking out people. She's future endeavoring people. She breaks their arms and they get cut the next week. So Natalya has to be, but Aaliyah rolled her up. So yeah. So and this whole match came after Naomi interrupted Sonya Deville.
Yes,
who was introducing the SmackDown Women's Squad. So this prompted a brawl. Anyways, after this match, Aaliyah's in the back. And she meets up with Sonya Deville, who announces that she is removing Aaliyah from the SmackDown Women's Survivor Series team. This was after congratulating Aaliyah for winning her first match on SmackDown. She said that Aaliyah, she said that she had been, she was there to inform her that she's been removed from the team. So we are immediately kind of thrusting Aaliyah into the Naomi role of being now screwed by Sonya Deville.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going for an Aaliyah-Naomi tag match versus Baszler and Deville. I don't know what we're doing with this, but very premature, but certainly they've got something in mind when it comes to Aaliyah. And I think, I will not say a catapulted strong push immediately, but I do see them featuring her quite a bit. For the foreseeable future on this show because the show needs it.
Yeah, so I think you're right on with that because all of a sudden, you have her in segments backstage and everything else. Yeah, we're trying to figure out what's going on with the whole DeVille thing, too. It's not making a whole lot of sense. Hopefully it'll get clearer soon.
They are no longer Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. They're just basically Humberto and Angel. Well, they're a tag team, the real-life cousins. They defeated Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs after hitting a variation of a total elimination. We got Charlotte Flair, who refused to defend her SmackDown Women's Championship against someone that we never see on this show, Toni Storm.
It was refreshing to finally see her again in a match we would like to see.
I'm going to be honest with you. If I was Charlotte, I would have refused defending my title against you, too. We never see you. Where have you been?
Well, it ain't her fault.
Why? What do you think this is? AEW, where you can just say you're going to face someone and boom, the match is official without clearing it past TK?
Well, he'll sign it. He signs everything, and he'll let you know about it. But it was good to see Toni Storm, though, finally in a level where she should be in that championship picture. So hopefully they don't screw it up.
Jeff Hardy defeated Sami Zayn with a Swanton Bomb, and then Adam Pearce announced that the loser of that match will be removed from the SmackDown Survivor Series team, which, according to Zayn, he was the captain of Team SmackDown. Well, he doesn't have to worry about those duties anymore.
Sammy, remember, your contract's up, too. You're going to be eating a lot of pins here in the next month.
All right, so that was your WWE SmackDown review. On to some AEW news. Why don't we jump on that? There was a AEW Media Call with Tony Khan. This is to promote the Full Gear there in Minneapolis. They got a full weekend. That kicked off with Rampage. Friday night, which will run through Rampage results and some action that went on there. But yeah, Tony Khan, he talked to the media, and this went on for about an hour. This was on Thursday, of course, to help promote the pay-per-view for this Saturday. And the call included him, and you took issue with this, him airing some frustrations with the NWA on not recognizing him, acknowledging him enough for what he had did for their Empower pay-per-view, which was their all-women's division pay-per-view, which he said, quote, he doesn't get enough credit for both sending AEW talent to the show and paying them, also adding that he insinuated to the company that they should make that known. So Tony Khan, thirsty for a shout-out, PJ. He wants to be acknowledged for... He wants the NWA to know that he is feeding them.
And the initial reporter's question was nothing about that. It was, is AEW thinking about maybe down the road doing an all-women's pay-per-view like NWA and like WWE did 1 year, which they'll never do again probably. But are you thinking about that? And that's when he went on this whole thing. Well, I paid for the talent there and all that. Well, Mr. Forbidden Door, I'm sorry, but you kind of opened this can of worms with let's all work together. So now someone praises an event that was not yours, And I understand it's your media call, but you took the question and you turned it into that. You turned it into, I need this. I need more respect. I'm paying the talent. Well, your New Japan sending guys over here. They're paying them to be on your roster.
Khan's words were, quote, "It's kind of like when you pay for a dinner and no one thanks you." Now, he said this before, later bringing it up again. So this really chapped his ass.
I know. And the question was not meant to do that. It was just to say, hey, do you think you guys will do that in the future? I mean, let's get this straight. He does not face a lot of the hard questions. Like, if Vince McMahon were to go in front of these reporters, they would just spit daggers at him. They throw softballs to Khan. A lot of them do in the wrestling media. They all want to be friends with him. And this answer was just kind of like, whoa, this is okay. Not what we were expecting from the guy that wants to work with every company in the world, claims he does, but now obviously,
as long as my name is on.
Exactly, and that's a problem. And you took advantage of the Impact partnership here, where you basically went on their programming, supposedly paid for ads in their programming to promote events, but I doubt that because that was part of the partnership. Yeah. But when they were on your TV, you never gave them any mentions of any pay-per-view at all, even though their championship was on Christian Cage, was on Omega at times. I mean, you did a good job of just throwing that out there too. Yeah. So I don't know.
He was asked also about any announcements regarding the Owen Hart Memorial Cup with him, saying that he plans on announcing some news on that on the Dynamite or Rampage after Full Gear next week. He didn't want to distract away from the card, and then he reiterated that winning the tournament and the cup is going to be treated as something big. Now, other things that he talked about in this media call, PJ, he said that he actually likes the 4-hour length of the pay-per-view main card. So this is something that's probably not going to be going away anytime soon. He was asked about Bray Wyatt, and he said he hasn't seen him since Chris Jericho's birthday party, and then he moved on with that. Didn't want to come across as tampering, even though the non-compete is over with.
It's over with now, so it doesn't
matter. He also said that AEW is planning on coming to the West Coast at some point next year for both a Dynamite and a Rampage show. And he said the goal is to have Double or Nothing in Vegas once again, which, you know what? I'm cool with that. That's their thing. That's their thing, Double or Nothing. You think gambling, you think casino.
That's why they named it that.
It should be.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I like how they do that. Like, yes, All or Nothing, Chicago. Double or Nothing, Vegas. They got your holiday weekends in the beginning of summer, end of summer booked, and that is nice. So, yeah, I would like to see them continue that.
He didn't say anything in regards. He really kept quiet about the whole Ring of Honor thing in terms of bringing in some talent. He just said you never know who will show up in AEW, and that has turned out to be the case. And I'm sure without a doubt we will see some Ring of Honor talent making some appearances here and there over the next foreseeable, whenever within the next 6 months. He said as far as Dynamite moving over to TBS in January, he said there will likely be some visual tweaks. So I'm curious how that will look because I don't want to say we were promised, but we were told we might get a little bit of a tweak when the fans came back, and it still looks like they're at Daily Place every week, for the most part.
There is. Yeah, there's not visual much,
He confirmed that they're going to be holding a Battle of the Belts show and said they're going to use that to kick off the New Year strong with that. And he also talked about the relationship with New Japan. He said that it's still great, and it's likely that you're going to see more New Japan talent that are going to come over as a result. So
not if you don't recognize them.
Well,
I mean, if we're going to play that game.
All right, so for AEW, being that it was Full Gear Week, this past Wednesday was the go-home show on Dynamite, and they advertised the contract signing between AEW World Heavyweight Champion Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. We got a match of Bryan Danielson versus Rocky Romero, which led off the show. We got a match of Lee Moriarty versus and Matt Sydal with Leo Rush and Dante Martin, and we got Britt Baker and a host of others. So, in the opening match, as we mentioned, it was Danielson versus Rocky Romero. Orange Cassidy, he ended up distracting Danielson in this match by putting his hands in his own pockets, which led to a suicide dive. Then we got New Japan Pro Wrestling World Champion Okada making basically an appearance in this match as well. He invited Orange Cassidy and Best Friends to join his stable Chaos. And we had Matt Hardy. Too much fucking Matt Hardy in this match, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Matt Hardy, who's spent weeks watching Orange Cassidy from afar. I don't know whether or not this is long-term storytelling. It has been so far, and a lot of the fans, even the diehards, have kind of wanted this to come to an end. Well, it didn't, because we'll talk to you about these two for the Rampage. They were the main event for Rampage on Friday night. But as for the match, though, it was Bryan Danielson defeating Rocky Romero, and Danielson continues to win matches multiple ways. It's not just a one submission move or a running high knee here, there, or whatever. This match, Danielson, a big part of him wanting to leave New York for a little bit, which has been officially confirmed that it is a 3-year contract.
Okay.
And the earliest that we could see him is around maybe Mania season of 2024, because as far as we know, that contract with AEW, it is over around April of 2024. So, but a part of him leaving, he wanted to work as many people as he could. And, this is his last big run, at least of what he's talked about. So, this match is this. Rocky Romero, what did this really prove? It had nothing to do. We got no Miro reference really in this match. We had everything else going on in this match except for kind of building you into this finals match of Bryan Danielson and Miro for the TNT title.
A New York match. Imagine that.
Or for the world title. For the number one contender.
For the number one contendership on AEW TV. We're going to have 2 WWE X guys going at it for that. But, it's too much Daniel Bryan right now. I'm sorry. I love the guy, but this is...
Not as much as Matt Hardy. I think you can at least admit that. We got too much Matt Hardy.
Hardy's not on Bryan's level, so I could understand why they're trying to really put him on TV every week. But Daniel Bryan, man, it's getting... Where they allow Punk to cut promos and come on or be on commentary, I think they should be doing the same with Bryan. You can see how, when he did the Talking Smack stuff, when he co-hosted all that, he's a good talker. He's a great guy to have on commentary and all that. They haven't even used him or thought about using him for that role yet in AEW. So I think in the ring, we're unless Daniel, I'm sure he wants to work matches with these guys and all that, but I think right now he's going to lose. They're going to lose some luster with these, trying to get pay-per-view buys when he's in the ring every week. You're like, well, I don't need to buy that match because I'll see him next Wednesday night to headline and kick off the show.
Tony Schiavone, he was standing inside the ring. He was awaiting the Inner Circle, who were going to come down and chat with him, and we got the Inner Circle coming out. We got the Judas chants and singing along. That's all going on fine and dandy. They're at the top of the ramp, and out of nowhere, they get attacked from behind by the entire American Top Team.
This was
it was a good, I guess, heat-seeking. They did their job. They got some heat. However, this just went a little too far. We got all of a sudden Dan Lambert powering up. He's putting Jericho through tables. He's putting him through weak-ass looking Boston Crabs, I believe. Yeah. I believe that the description I put to you is, that is the Boston Crab that you put on your siblings back in the day when your mom was watching. And then when she left the room, then you start cranking.
Then you sit back on the back a little bit more. You hit it right on the head. Yeah, that's the mom's watching Boston Crab. Then all of a sudden, you wrench that thing back when she turns her head.
We got Anna Jay, Tay Conti, and Thunder Rosa defeating Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Rebel in a match. And Tay Conti and Anna Jay, they got a great reaction from this crowd, but it's nothing but dudes, and they're gorgeous women. So, of course, you got what you got as far as that. Work-wise, I thought it was Thunder Rosa kind of carrying this team.
Yes.
And they all came out. All three had coordinated their similar-looking outfits for the most part, so they kind of look like a trios team if we ever see a trios women's tag division, which we probably will at some point, at least in this company.
You would think so. They've been harping on it for a while.
Sloppy match, I thought, though. Not just from one side, from both sides. And so I don't know. We saw some chemistry issues between Tay Conti and Britt that hopefully we don't see at Full Gear. I think this match is kind of thrown together to begin with. So I'm not expecting the most out of this match, out of those two.
Yeah, I'm guessing they don't want to put, they Thunder Rosa, I guess they don't want to go back to that with Britt, even though they made some great matches together. They're not throwing her at her yet. So, yeah, I think they're just throwing anything at opponents right now. And that was my problem with Ruby Soho right away winning that Battle Royal and then throwing at her right there. And now you have no one to feed her right now. Yeah. So that's a problem.
Jungle Boy defeating Anthony Bowens, which I kind of cemented to me that Anthony Bowens is the worker of the Acclaim between he and Caster. Caster's the mic guy.
Yep.
Bowens is the worker because we saw Bowens on Rampage the week before against Bryan Danielson.
Yes.
This match, Caster, he continued to shine the mic. And this time, in his lyrics, no John Laurinaitis reference in these lyrics like he did on Bryan Danielson, but he did criticize Jungle Boy's promo ability and diss Jungle Boy for leaving his girlfriend alone with 7 guys in the back. Which would be the Dark Order.
Yes.
Just as Caster started to showcase his rapping ability, we got to see Bowens in the ring. It actually wasn't a bad match until we got Bobby Fish interfering, attacking people after the bell. He went after Jungle Boy, and this was to pretty much build up what was going to be their one-on-one match. We'll talk to you a little bit about for Rampage later on in the week. Backstage, we got Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Cole introduces Fish to the Young Bucks, and this got a nice little pop from the crowd. And we got the Young Bucks who said that there is no dispute that is the end of an era, or at least the era of the elite that is over with. So there was also some vignettes that ran to promote Full Gear, which I don't know what this did to really boost up any of the ratings over the last couple of weeks for Dynamite. I mean, the slumping viewership, which you could throw many factors into that. But we got a match of Wartlow versus Wheeler Yuda.
Welcome both guys back to the ring. We haven't seen any of them make a match in a long time.
No, and Jim Ross actually went out of his way. I don't know if you really noticed during this match, Jim Ross went out of his way to really hype up Wartlow and kind of talk about Wartlow being a pillar, Wartlow being a guy for the future of the company.
Yes.
So this is, I don't know what this does short term in terms of him and MJF. I don't think they've been on television enough together lately to even tease any kind of a breakup. So hopefully they're not going down that road yet. I still think it's a little too soon. Wheeler Yuda, he stumbled early, but Wartlow, he got the match right back on track, and he, started slamming Yuda all over the place, then some power bombs, which received some chance of one more time from the crowd. So the crowd ain't really feeling Yuda. They don't give a fuck that he is with Cassidy and with Chuck Taylor. But, I mean, what I got out of this match is that Wartlow just needs more fucking TV time as a worker now at this point.
It's been 2 years. He's been on this roster now for 2 years as MJF's guy and hitman and whatever, bodyguard. And the matches he's actually had on Dynamite, you can probably name on one hand.
Now, we had already seen a lot of Matt Hardy during this show already in the early on. Well, we ended up seeing Matt Hardy again in this match. He came into the ring and gave Orange Cassidy a twist of fate, which looked like shit. Like absolutely shit.
Yeah, it's pretty rough right now for Hardy. I don't know. I know he's trying to get this thing over creatively, creative guy, but this ain't working. It's just not working, and nobody's. And that's the problem with AEW. I don't think they have people that will step up and say, hey, it ain't working. We're not doing this. Unlike the other company, we're saying, we ain't doing this, pal. Even if it is working, he stops it.
I just feel like with the Money Matt team, no one has shined outside of this group. No one has been elevated. No one has been used to be the breakout star out of this group. He's got a bunch of tag teams that got thrown into this. No one's getting title shots, really. I mean, if you want to count Private Party going to Impact to, if you want to count them doing that, whatever.
Yeah.
But this has pretty much just been all about Matt Hardy.
Exactly.
The entire time that this group has existed.
The one guy that doesn't need to get over.
And they're all losers collectively.
They are. I mean, it's a terrible group.
We got Lio Rush and Dante Martin. They defeated the team of Lee Moriarty and Matt Seidel. And again, what happened? I thought Lio Rush was retiring.
No, he's not.
He was doing all the moves in this match
yep.
and became the babyface of the match. I thought Lio was the heel.
Exactly. But no, yeah, they've now switched this group up a little bit. And yeah, now they're trying to make him baby faces, even though he had the heel promo and everything else coming into it.
Well, I think if anything, what this is going to do is Top Flight, whenever they get back together, I think you will see them wrestling a lot of six-man tag matches with Lio Rush. I think this is
throw him in there too. Yeah, that's too much air traffic, man. Yeah. Everyone flying around.
We got a match of Pac versus Dax Harwood. This was I'm going to tell you this. This was a match that I was intrigued by on the show because it was two guys that you would never think would work a singles match together.
Yeah.
And it was fresh, and it was this match, it earned the "This is wrestling" chant from the crowd.
Okay.
Yeah, so the crowd was actually into this, and this match just kind of got thrown together on a whim. Like, no one knows where this came from, but it was a good wrestling match for the most part.
Well, were they trying to throw in the Death Triangle connection at one point since, FTR's going after Lucha, at the paper? Is that what they were going for here or not?
I think they just threw this together. It was never advertised. At least I didn't see it.
Yeah.
There was a spot, though, in the match where Pac did completely miss Dax on a dive to the outside just as the show was about to go to commercial. So there you go. But Pac and Dax, they regrouped. They got on the top rope. Jim Ross, he took another shot at Wheeler Yuda by pointing out that it's a good thing they weren't wearing sneakers because he was giving some jabs to Yuda during the match with Wartlow in that squash match. But anyways, we got the Lucha Bros, who are the baby faces in this angle. They're going to be facing FTR at Full Gear. They came in, they made a save. Cody Rhodes then Cody Rhodes got involved in this, and finally, hopefully, he went home happy that night because he was able to actually get some babyface chants from the crowd. Yeah, we got Cody involved in this too. So.
I guess they were confused that you're not supposed to do that to him right now.
We got the contract signing at the end of the show. Omega and Hangman Page, they, cut the best go-home promos they could. I thought it was a little cheesy. I didn't think it was vicious enough. I thought it was a little too passive-aggressive. Just didn't really, it didn't move me.
Yeah.
Now, I am watching this the entire time, and in the one shot, the wide shot of the ring, you keep seeing this cameraman who is in the shot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, well, that can only mean one thing. And if that is who I think it is, that at least adds something to this match, and I can take Omega serious again as the champ. And we ended up getting that. Behind the cameraman, it was Don Callis. And it's been, 6 weeks?
Yeah, it's been
5
a while.
or 6 weeks that we haven't seen Callis. And Omega, I feel, has suffered.
Yes, he has.
Since. Yeah. A lot of people took that as Hangman's going to be winning. I think with Callis coming back and the fact that they kind of hot-shot at this match as early as they did, I at least do see a rematch where Hangman does win that, but I do think for this weekend for Full Gear, I would be a little surprised if Omega didn't come out still as the champ.
It's all screwed up, though, right now, because you have this number one contenders tournament, too. If Daniel Bryan wins that...
Which I don't think he is. I think Miro might be.
You think they're going to...
Well, maybe that's where maybe Hangman does. If I think Miro's going to win this match with Danielson... Which I think that's going to be a distraction. I think we're going to use that match as something to kind of kick off another Danielson angle with someone that maybe he wants to work with right now, which I feel like you could have made an angle out of Danielson and Miro.
Yes, and maybe that's...
Unless they're trying to keep the New York guys separated.
But here's the problem you're going to have is you make Hangman the champ. How long is he going to hold... He ain't going to hold that belt for long. He's not, because you've got Punk, you've got Danielson, you got Cole. You've got three big names that should be up in that picture, and that's the problem with Hangman. He's not beating all three of them. So they've got themselves kind of in the corner. If they do put him on here now, I don't see him on him for a long time here. Not a long run as long as Omega. Omega's almost coming up on almost a year.
Yeah.
Because he won that in December last year. So, I mean, it's almost been one full year of him.
With the mic bump.
Riding with it. Yes, Killer Mike again.
AEW Rampage, the Friday night show. They were broadcasting this from the Target Center where they're having Full Gear for this weekend. And they had a kickoff of Jungle Boy versus Bobby Fish. This is the match we talked to you about. Fish, he interfered at the end of the match on Wednesday after Jungle Boy defeated Anthony Bowens of the Acclaim. And there was Jungle Boy still got some work to do. There's potential there. Bobby Fish is a veteran. He's been around. There were quite a few missteps in this match, some miscommunication. First time you could tell easily this is their first time kind of working one another. And Fish, kind of took that role in the match, being the veteran, still working with Jungle Boy. And I don't know if this was a match that really did anything for you, but Jungle Boy was victorious.
I mean, the story was that Fish was supposed to take him out so Cole didn't have to mess with him at the pay-per-view.
Yes, Fish is the goon.
He was the goon, and you knew that he wasn't going to win because Bobby Fish doesn't win in AEW. I think he is now 0-4, 0-5. We got a problem now. You've got to get the guy some victories. You shot him right at the top right away. He wasn't beating Danielson and all this stuff, so it's just like, come on, give this guy some love here coming up after this.
We had Jade Cargill defeating Santana Garrett, who looked more like the third member of the Rockers in this match.
Yes.
This match was exactly what it needed to be. It was short, sweet, simple, to the point. Jade Cargill with the victory. So
are they making her like the Rampage? Because all her matches now are on Rampage. Are they trying to? I mean, we thought they would separate some of the talent on shows to shows, but Rampage, she's now been featured on more than Dynamite lately.
Yeah. We had an anniversary cake, by the way. The end of this match, Red Velvet put Mark Sterling's face in Jade Cargill's anniversary cake. And Jericho, who was on commentary, hilariously asked the corny, is it a red velvet cake?
Oh, God.
Moving on.
Thank God I had the volume off.
Dante Martin in action. Dante Martin's also starting to become Mr. Rampage, too.
Yes,
he does a lot of matches on this lately. Facing the incoming former WWE worker, Araya Daivari.
That's right.
Both guys are actually, I did not know this, Daivari as well. Dante Martin and Daivari, they're from the Twin Cities area.
Yes.
They're both from Minnesota.
But they didn't sell that part for Daivari. They did for Martin.
Yeah.
They said, because Excalibur, Martin's got a big hometown pop here in Minneapolis. And Daivari.
Yeah.
Oh, the hell with you.
We got some This Is Awesome chants from the crowd before the match got going, just because the crowd realized, we got two Minnesota boys in here.
Well, backstory, too, they said Leo Rush was not there because his grandma passed away.
Okay.
I thoughts and prayers if it happened and all that. But obviously, the people are going to say, is he getting cold feet on this? Which I don't think so yet. I don't, but you don't know after he had the whole run with the when he won the battle or was in the Battle Royal, and then all of a sudden he was not there after cutting a promo, and then now this. So I hope not. But there's people out there bringing that up.
Well, the way they played this off, hopefully, is the real thing. I hope that Leo. I'm not hoping that his grandma died.
Yes,
but hopefully it wasn't a malicious excuse, because they actually played into this, because we had Team Taz coming down to try and recruit Dante Martin while Leo Rush was at home grieving with the family.
And that's my problem with it is when you do that now, that tells me this is not. What purpose would
Dante Martin serve for Team Taz?
None.
Wouldn't Team Taz be trying to vie for his son Hook to get some matches?
You would think so, yeah. In Dante Martin, there's nothing heel looking on that kid at all. He's a babyface 1,000%.
So Team Taz, they offered a contract. They offered him to come, and then Hook, it looked like, tried to offer Dante Martin some of his fucking potato chips, too. I'm going to tell you what my favorite part of this match was. Dante Martin had on a Big Baller brand knee pad.
Did he really?
Yes. Dante Martin, a part of the Big Baller brand.
Someone's got to be.
Yeah. And then our main event. I told you.
Yes.
I told you these guys, it ain't over. Even some of the diehards said, hey, we are tired of this.
So does this mean they're not on the pay-per-view then? So you're not going to get Orange Cassidy on the pay-per-view. They shot it here tonight. This was it.
I don't know what the thinking was behind not just, well, you're thinking, okay, they're going to be done with this once and for all, but then now I know they're not going to be because Matt Hardy won the damn lumberjack match versus Orange Cassidy.
Unless that's what was designed to try to get his damn group over.
Yeah, big money Matt. He offered $20,000 to the first person who took out Orange Cassidy.
Oh, God, more of these ridiculous money. I suppose, how's he getting this money, though? He lost all his first quarter earnings.
Didn't he lose it all to Hangman?
Yeah, so where the hell's he getting this money from now?
He invested wisely.
I guess.
All right. AEW, we're going to run through this real quick at the Target Center Full Gear pay-per-view. Run down. What do we think our predictions? Our AEW World Title match. We'll go ahead and start from the top and work our way down.
Yeah.
We're going to blaze through it. Kenny Omega, the champ, versus Hangman Page.
Now, what you brought up, I'm thinking the Hangman is going to win.
Okay.
And it has been a year. They like to take their belts off on a yearly basis. Jericho had it a year. Moxley a year. It's Omega's year now almost. I think it comes off tonight.
Now, we also, when Danielson first came in, kind of teased that he wanted some of Omega too.
See, and that's the problem.
So you could go either way.
Yeah.
I feel like Miro, and we'll get into it, but I feel like Miro will be winning this match against Danielson. But
if he wins that match,
Danielson wins that match, that tells you Omega's got to be winning. I'm still I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go with my gut. I'm gonna say Omega is still going to come out, and they'll have to try to figure out what they want to do.
Okay.
But geez, now I want to go with Page because I really do think that Miro's going to win that match.
Because it's the only logical thing right now. Because that's what they have to do if they're going to build Hangman up and have him have any run at all. Because if he does not win it now, you can't have them do a rematch at the next one. Not with Punk and Danielson, Cole, all those guys that you just brought in, and if you bring anyone else over, you can't. Hangman's going to get lost, so he's got to win it now, or else it ain't going to happen.
We got our AEW Women's Championship match. Champ Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Tay Conti. It was an option, someone to throw at Britt Baker, but there really hasn't been much to build on with this match, and Tay Conti doesn't have enough credibility for me. Well, it's way too soon for Baker to be losing this belt, so Baker, a slam dunk for me, retaining the title.
Even though she doesn't need it. That's the thing, is she doesn't need the title. She's over, but there's no one else credible on that roster right now to take it off her except, Soho, but like we said, they already ran her at her, so it's got to be Britt on this.
Boy, this is a tricky one, this Danielson-Miro match, because we could go either way in terms of what we want to do. You know what? I am going to go ahead and say Paige will win the world title match, and Danielson will, and Miro will win this match only because we have also, I forgot, we've already seen Omega and Danielson not too long ago in that damn 30-minute match.
Well,
so we've already seen the match.
But it was a draw.
It was a draw.
So eventually that's going to have to get resolved. You would think it would get resolved with a title, but the way they booked this goddamn thing, it's because this was the whole confusing thing I had, because this tournament, I was under the impression the winner of this was going to face Omega at this pay-per-view. But I think when the Moxley thing happened, they did a very quick switch and said, okay, Hangman is going to do that contract right then and there at that, and then we're also going to have the winner, the winning match at this, and it's like too much now. There's way too much, and I think it's Miro, and
I'm still going to stick with Miro. Miro would make the better option as the first challenger for Paige.
Yes.
So we'll see. Here's a match that to work, going on 2 weeks of building this up, they've done about as good as you can. That's
Very
CM
good.
Punk and Eddie Kingston. This is what should be, as you said, the Minneapolis Street Fight and not the American Top Team Inner Circle match.
Yeah, this is everything people would want to see them go at it now. They have done a great job cutting the promos. And, Eddie Kingston getting a lot of love. I saw he had a Players Tribune article out this week. It was very well written from his perspective. People love Kingston.
Too bad he ain't winning this match.
I don't know. They've got to give him a win one of these times. Is this the time?
That is outside the tag team division.
Is this where Punk says, okay, it is Eddie's time? Because obviously they have worked together in Ring of Honor in the past, and you heard the cheers. This is the only guy so far who has worked with Punk, and you've heard the crowd buy the other guy as much as they bought Punk, and I was surprised by that. But, yeah, I have a hard time saying Punk's going to lose, but I would not be surprised the way things are going with the crowd reaction and everything else. But yeah, I'm gotta go with Punk.
Okay, we got this match here of American Top Team versus the Inner Circle.
Can they just all be disqualified in this damn thing?
Here's what I'm gonna say. It took them a while for me to warm up to these guys, but I think Paige and Sky actually do make a pretty good tag team, but they need to be on their own as a tag team. I feel like they kind of get squashed underneath being involved with American Top Team.
Well, yeah, they get lost.
I don't think this does
no one knows who they are
for these guys.
No, nothing at all. Because you want to see the UFC guys now, and now Paige and Sky. Until you just mentioned them, I forgot they were on the damn team.
Yeah,
I mean that's the thing.
And this is just a match to kind of keep the Inner Circle guys in the Inner Circle to kind of look and stay busy through a pay-per-view. And I mean, yes, they've tried their best to really build this up, but it's like,
and it's so goddamn predictable.
I thought we were going to get a long break of the Inner Circle after the Pinnacle angle, and it's just...
And now you know they're going to win because they just got their shit kicked out of them this week, and didn't they already lose the initial match that we had a couple weeks ago? So you know Inner Circle's winning, and they're going to go on for like 40 minutes. It's going to be painful.
We got the AEW Tag Team Championship, the Lucha Brothers on... they are the champs. I kind of got a little confused. I forgot FTR because FTR, they are the AAA champs. So it kind of threw me off thinking, but no, the Lucha Brothers, they are the champs in this match, FTR. This is going to end up, I think, being perhaps maybe potential to be the best match on the damn card.
Yeah, they'll probably work pretty good, and they'll have a hell of a match. Unfortunately, I don't think FTR's winning it too soon.
Too
obviously.
soon for the Lucha Brothers, and the Lucha Brothers got over big time when they won those belts.
Yes, so they've got to have a good run with them here, and I'm with you. This could be the match of the night.
The match that I'm looking forward to the most on this show, and I think they've done a pretty good job for the most part of building it up, Darby Allin versus MJF.
Yes.
These are the two guys that will be down the road a main event for an All Out.
Yes, they should be.
If they did it right.
So this is hopefully the first in a series. And hopefully they don't cram the series right away. They can do this and then maybe space out, then come back, do it again.
If they did this right, if AEW plans to be around forever, at least during our lifetime, if you did this right, these are two guys who are polar opposites but have the potential to have a great chemistry, a great feud that if you looked at Darby Allin's career and said, who is his number one nemesis? MJF. It would always be like MJF. If you did this correctly, Darby's Batman, MJF is the Joker.
Well, like a Flair Sting, it kind of reminds me of that too. I mean, they have kind of similar gimmicks somewhat, and it would be on that level.
Yeah. I got Darby in this match. This is something they've kind of over time they've been bringing attention the fact that MJF has yet to lose an individual singles match.
Yes.
Granted, never mind the fact he's barely had any over the last couple of years, but he has mentioned that a few times.
Yeah, so I think, you have to have
And they owe Darby one after losing
the
to Punk.
Yes, so I'm with you on that. Darby's got to win this one. Doesn't hurt MJF 1 bit at all. He'll be cutting the promos, getting the heat. He'll be fine.
A match that I'm not looking forward to, but it is what it is. Christian Cage and Jurassic Express versus the Super Clique of Cole and the Young Bucks.
This is...
Yeah, I mean, there's some talent
this is a Dynamite
in this match, but this doesn't... That's exactly
that's
what
problem.
I think.
That's the problem.
And you would think, based on the actions of Jurassic Express and Christian Cage coming out with the chairs and banging and clanging and laying out Page, and, you would think that they are the heels in this match.
You would think, but no, not the case.
Well, they won't be winning this match anyways.
Nope.
Cole should not be associated with any losses whatsoever, regardless if he's in the singles or a tag team or trios anytime soon. I have the Super Clique winning this match.
Yep.
So
I'm with you on that one.
All right, and there you go. Those are our predictions. Let us know what you think will go down at the pay-per-view in the Twin Cities this weekend for AEW Full Gear. Episode 27 in the books. Longer. We jam-packed so much stuff thanks to the WWE roster releases this past week, but glad that you were able to be a part of this with us. For episode 27, Slade,
PJ,
be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and hit us up on social media. Follow us at Bush League MS Pod. We'll be back at you next week for episode 28.